Today we're using a clip from the IQA World Cup 3rd-4th playoff between Turkey and the UK to talk about Snitch on pitch play and a tactic called the bubble. We joined this game while still in swim, a couple of minutes before the Seekers enter play. Swim means that the two teams are no more than 20 points apart, or to put it another way, whichever team catches the Snitch wins. The UK is 20 points down, so if they fail to score on this drive and Turkey gets the quaffle and scores, the UK will be 30 points down, and a UK snitch match would take the game to overtime instead of winning. Because of this, Team UK is slowing the quaffle game down to a snail's pace. Bludger control is key in Snitch on pitch and the 2 minutes leading up to it, and the slow quaffle game gives Lucy, Quidditch and Jacopo Sartori, Team UK's beaters, multiple chances to gain back control. The reason for this is you need bludger control to effectively keep the opposition seeker away from the snitch, using a tactic called the bubble. The bubble is a protective barrier formed by your beaters and seekers in front of the snitch, which keeps the opposition seeker away. The bubble is used at all times in swim, to the point where the quaffle game will be completely ignored until a team gets out of swim. Once a game is more than 30 points ahead, beaters will switch to the quaffle game, as the team wants to use their beaters to stay ahead, while the team behind needs their beaters to catch up. Overtime range, having a points difference of 30, is the weird grey area in between these two extremes. Some teams will bubble until they are no longer in overtime range. Sometimes they will switch to quaffle once in overtime range, and sometimes they'll play a sort of half bubble, with one beater focusing on the quaffle game and the other protecting the snitch. At Leicester, we decide what we do in overtime depending on what's happening in the match we're playing. Now, we've talked in detail about the bubble and it's time to learn how to do it. The bubbling team will place their beaters and seeker between the snitch and the opposition seeker, giving the opposition seeker as many obstacles as possible before they can catch the snitch. As the opposition seeker approaches, the beaters will warn their seeker, who should be trying to catch the snitch at this point, and we'll come back to this a bit later. Normally, one beater will focus on keeping the opposition seeker away, while the other will focus on the opposition beaters. But experienced beater pairs may take a more free-flowing approach to this, doing whatever needs to be done. Once the seeker has been beat, the beaters can then focus on getting rid of the opposition beaters. When done well, it'll look like the team bubbling is forcing the other team's beaters and seeker to do shuttle runs between the snitch and the hoops, as they constantly tap back in only to get beat again. This brings us to the seeker. When the seeker is warned by the beaters that the opposition seeker is coming, they should finish their current attempt at catching the snitch as soon as possible and turn to see the situation. If they feel like their beaters can handle keeping the opposition beaters and seeker away, they can continue trying to catch the snitch. But after each attempt they should turn and reassess the situation until the opposition seeker is beat, at which point they can focus wholly on the snitch again. If, on the other hand, their beaters need help, and beaters, please ask your seeker for help, the seeker can instead focus entirely on keeping the opposition seeker away from the snitch. This allows the beaters to deal with the opposition beaters without having to worry about the snitch, as the seeker is keeping the opposition seeker away. Once the beaters have dealt with their counterparts, they can come and beat the opposition seeker, and their seeker can go back to focusing on catching the snitch. So that's how to do the bubble, but how do you counter it? First of all, your main priority should be beating the seeker in the bubble. Even if you are then immediately beat, if the seeker is beat they can't catch the snitch and win the game for the opposition. Your second priority is getting bludger control back, but that's easier said than done. The way to burst the bubble is to get your beaters and seeker to strike at the same time. Send your seeker in to get between the opposition seeker and the snitch, defending the snitch, not trying to catch. That should distract one of the opposition beaters, allowing our beaters to either take a beater 2-on-1 or to go after the beater who's trying to beat our seeker. Remember, if your seeker doesn't make it to the snitch to stop their seeker, you have to beat their seeker, even if it means getting beat yourself. If, however, your seeker makes it to the snitch, you then have your pickings from what should be a distracted beater pair, and you can pick which one you want to target. Once you have control, you can then go after the others, being the other beater and the opponent's seeker. Often, a team attempting to burst the bubble will go in one at a time, being beat one by one, and it'll have no effect. If you notice this happening, the beaters and seeker must coordinate and approach the bubble at the same time. The only time not to group up like this is when the opposition seeker is not beat and you have a chance to beat them. After the seeker has been beat, you must then coordinate, otherwise nothing will change. You may be questioning why we have our seeker defend against the opposition seeker so much, instead of just trying to catch. This is because if both seekers are trying to catch the snitch, eventually the snitch will be cornered and it'll be a 50-50 as to which seeker catches in that situation. We have the beater's strength at Leicester to control this aspect of the game, and we don't want to lose on a coin toss when we can play safe and guarantee a win.